Who do you think you are? Now, I know that might have been something your mother said to you when you were 7 years old, or you've said to yourself, who do I think I am? Or you've said that to someone else that might be acting out of character. But really what we're asking is, who are you underneath? Who are you underneath your patterns? And I've been working for over 25 years with the character types that were first set out by Wilhelm Reich as he went into the body in the early stages of psychology. And then they were carried on later by some of his students, John Parakos, Alexander Lowen, Barbara Brennan wrote about it, my friend Stephen Kessler writes about it. And these 5 character types are so useful for understanding yourself, for understanding other people that you're in relationship with, for understanding how patterns got created. And especially if you're a therapist or a coach and you work with anybody, I think it's just crucial to understand these character types, because each one has a strategy, a defense mechanism, a place where they're stuck, a wounding, and a way that is most appropriate to deal with that person. So, who do you think you are means understanding yourself, but understanding that even as you learn these patterns aren't who you really are. You're something underneath that. And I like to talk about moving from pattern to presence so that you can recognize, oh, I'm doing my masochistic endurer pattern right now. I don't have to do that. I can return to my essence underneath. So I'd like to just briefly touch on what these 5 character structures are, and using different words, because Wilhelm Reich gave them rather pathological terms, but the fact is we all have these types. We all have various patterns, and so we can probably recognize ourselves in it. So the first one is the schizoid, and that's the person that lives in their head and has kind of constricted their body. So their body is very thin, they're often tall, they're petite, but just sort of constricted. They don't really live in their body. They're very smart, they're very gifted, they're very creative, very spiritual, but not very embodied. And then the next one is called the oral character structure, sometimes also called the lover. They're the great givers. They're very generous. They love life. They love to eat. They love to talk. They love to engage in sensate experiences. And their problem is they give all their energy away. And they tend to hang on to things that are not in their life anymore. And it kind of slows them down. They're sort of undercharged without a sense of their own core or their own boundaries. Then we have the endurer type, sometimes also called the masochist. And endurers tend to disregard themselves in certain ways and just kind of plug along and endure. They'll just put up with things. And as a result, they're not very happy. I mean, they're loyal and steadfast employees and friends, but they're not very happy inside because they don't really feel free. So as the endurer frees himself from his pattern, he finds more joy in life. Then there's what I call the challenger defender, and classically this was called the psychopath, but really there's a lot of people that have this structure that are not what we would call a psychopath. I mean, they're not, embezzling funds or harming little children, but this is a person who really gravitates to power. In fact, they handle power well, and the problem is they're so powerful nobody can get close to them. They have trouble with intimacy and vulnerability. And then the final type is called the rigid, also known as the achiever. The rigid can go out and achieve things. They're the model of our society. They look perfect, they act perfect. The trouble is, inside themselves, they have to be perfect. And they don't have any room to be their authentic self. They have to follow the rules. They have to achieve. And that's the tragedy inside. So for each of these structures, we want to understand them, we want to heal them, we want to know how to talk to them. And this is what I have so enjoyed teaching over the last 25 years.